Hello people, I'm back once again with another video, and I think this is one of the most important videos, if not the most important video that I've ever made. It's a warning to all parents. Parents who love their children, parents that are not in contact with their children, need to understand what's happening, need to understand the hidden agendas, and once again, we need to connect the dots. The World Health Organization is encouraging, no, I shouldn't say encouraging, has put in place an agenda for Europe and Africa to teach children under the age of 4-year-olds, how to masturbate. This is part of their sexual education for children. Now, the reason why I think this is so important, and I want people to share this video because people have to be informed what's happening, that the demonic satanic schools that you're sending your children to aim to encourage paedophilia and normalize sexualization of children as young as 4 years old and under. Now, we must understand this, that you're going to think to yourself, no, Elavai is talking nonsense. Elavai is not really putting forward the truth and over-sensationalizing stuff. Well, let's wait a minute. In 2016, the United Nations rejected this plan that the World Health Organization wanted to put into place. The same World Health Organization that has driven the whole COVID-19 fiasco. Children are supposed to be, and I know in many of your minds and hearts, parents, the most precious things we have. And sex is not for children. But there's been a long-held agenda to abolish age of consent laws so that children are able to be indoctrinated into sexual practices before they're physically ready and before they're emotionally ready, so that they can be left open to predators. Now, the agenda that's going on is going to be led by an arm of the World Health Organization that is called the, if I can remember, the International Technical Guidance on Sexuality Education. You can do your research on that to make sure. And they are proposing, they have kind of watered down the whole agenda that they're pushing with to state stuff like this. The books that are going to be involved is stuff like this, and this is what parents should be looking out for. What girls have, what boys have, how does my body work and stuff like this, which is what they're going to initially teach. Now, we know that young children can often ask questions about where do I come from and what is this part of my body and so forth. This is the way into the minds of children, to use their natural curiosity as a way in to pervert them. So, the World Health Organization is also pushing forward the softened attitude that children should know about nakedness and so forth. And the more liberal people will say, well, there's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with naked bodies and so forth? Well, on the surface, there's nothing. But if we go deeper into the agendas, they want children to be taught about exploring each other's bodies, so that children can explore each other's body. And is that where they want to stop? No. They want it to be a normal practice where children can be open to the idea of having sexual partners. So, do they want young children, 4 years old and younger, to understand that they can sexually engage with each other at those ages? Just 4 years old and under? Or do they want them to understand that they can also engage sexually with adults? I am telling you, and you can take it or leave it alone, I am telling you that the demonic system that we live in, the satanic system that we live in, because only a satanic system would want to do this to our children, wants your children, your babies should I say, your babies, to be programmed with the understanding that there is no sexual boundaries and that all people can have access to your children and have so-called relationships with babies. Because I understand, and if anybody wants to argue with me with this, you can feel free to argue in the comment section, and you'd get blasted, because this is it. A child at the age of 4 and under is a baby. A child of the age of 5, 6, 7 is a baby. 8 is a baby. 9, to me, is a baby. Now, we will say when we get to the ages of 11 and 12 that, oh yeah, they're experimenting with sex and stuff like this. Well, yeah, many are. And intelligent people who want to protect our children will say this to children: there is emotional fallout when it comes to having sexual behavior. There is emotional fallout that happens when you give your body to another person, or when you let another person violate your body. Because I can tell you this, when children have sex too early, they are emotionally and physically violated, whether they like to understand it or not, or whether they like to accept it or not. But I'm sending out an important warning that these schools, these demonic entities, but I want to tell you this as well. Before I lost contact with my children, I homeschooled my children, until the mother of the children decided that she wanted to send the children into school. I never knew my children were actually going to school, because she didn't see fit to inform the father of the children. This is how the system works now. You can use a man as a sperm donor and then exclude him. Listen, I'm not going all gender-based, because I don't want people attacking me and saying that it's not just fathers that are excluded. Obviously, mothers are losing contact with their children, forced adoption and so forth, and also wreaking havoc on mothers in the family court also. But as far back as I can remember, I used to see men fighting for the rights to have parental rights and so forth like this, because mothers have parental rights automatically, fathers don't. A father can't fight for his unborn child because the belief is that we have no say over the mother's body. Well, this is another argument. But this takes me on to one of the funders of the World Health Organization. Comes back to the two people that I spoke about in my recent video to do with Melinda Gates and the Gates Foundation and the International Planned Parenthood Organization, which is all tied into this, all funding this. So the Gates, once again, are behind this drive for what? What am I calling it? The drive to normalize paedophilia in the schools. Because I tell you this, and I'll say it for all of those who don't understand, I'm not in contact with my children. But if there's any entities around my children that are sexualizing my children before the age when they are ready to experience those things, then there's going to be problems. I say it to all of you, there's going to be problems. Because I'm not one of these dads who are sitting in the corner thinking about, oh, poor me, this and that. No, I'm a father who's strengthening himself for what's coming. This isn't the world we had planned. And I'm sure many parents didn't plan to have strangers, which teachers are strangers, educating their children on sexual matters to do with masturbation. You want your 4-year-old to know how to masturbate. And I'm going to finalize this on one thing that the paedophilic people like to use, which I also am an advocate for. I'm an advocate for the rights of the child. But the paedophilia agenda wants to subvert the rights of the child and give the child the right to engage in sex. To say I can do this without my parents' consent. Well, yes, the children do have certain rights. But let's not pervert those rights in order to abuse the children. Let's not do that. So I'm going to once and finally say, this is a warning to those parents who are blinded because they're going out to work and dropping their children off in these satanic schools. Take your children out of the hands of the beast. The WHO, the World Health Organization, backed by Bill Gates and his satanic wife, Melinda Gates. Signing out. Warning.